The water shortage in Puerto Rico is a manifestation of American colonialism. Walk with me. Right now, there's a lot of people breaking news about Puerto Rico's water shortage, but what they're really describing is a situation that's gotten too bad to fucking ignore. For starters, the water shortage is not just one break in a pipe. There is actually a documentable series of different pipes that have been failing and damaged all around the island for years. Matter of fact, more than 50% of Puerto Rico's drinking water supply has been lost in the last 19 years due to leaks, breaks, and spills. And the reason why none of this shit has been fixed is because of American colonialism. Puerto Rico became a colony of the United States in 1898, and immediately after that, wealth extraction began. From the 1900s to the 1930s, the U.S. took control of land across the island to own sugar plantations and monopolize the market. So much so that just 3 large American corporations controlled 40% of the supply. And because they were American companies, wealth flowed to U.S. shareholders and didn't stay on the island, which means there's no money for local infrastructure. Like water infrastructure. Stay with me. Then, in 1947, President Harry Truman signed the Elective Governor Act, finally allowing Puerto Rico to elect their own governor. And of course, they chose someone who would do America's bidding, a man named Luis Muñoz Marin. Because, as president of the Puerto Rican Senate in 1948, he passed the American-backed law, Ley de Mordaza, or the gag law. That law imprisoned anyone who believed in Puerto Rican independence and criminalized people who flew the Puerto Rican flag to effectively erase Puerto Rican culture and force American assimilation. And the year after he did that, he became Puerto Rico's first elected governor. Right. He also enacted Operation Bootstrap, which moved the Puerto Rican economy from a predominantly agriculture economy to an industrial economy. So from the 1940s to the 1970s, Puerto Rico gave large tax breaks to American companies to come to the island. And it all sounds great until you realize that the model paid poverty wages, generated chronic joblessness, and drove mass immigration from Puerto Rico to the United States. It got so bad that between 1977 and 1988 alone, roughly 26,000 people left the island per year. This continued the wealth extraction from Puerto Rico to the United States. And by the way, Operation Bootstrap is where lift yourself from your own bootstraps comes from. And there's no break. Immediately after that, in 1976, the U.S. quietly passed a new tax code called Section 936. It allowed American companies operating in Puerto Rico and other U.S. territories to avoid paying any federal taxes on the profits that they made there. Companies then repatriated billions of dollars in profit to the United States tax-free. It was the loophole for companies to avoid Puerto Rico's local taxes that, guess what, could have been used for water infrastructure. But it doesn't stop there. To further fuck the Puerto Rican economy, in 1984, the U.S. Congress stripped Puerto Rico's ability to file Chapter 9 bankruptcy. And Chapter 9 bankruptcy is the legal process that allows financially distressed municipalities like cities, towns, counties, or school districts to reorganize and adjust their debts. So because of all the wealth extraction and companies evading their tax responsibilities, architected by the U.S. government, debts in Puerto Rico exploded. And now they had no remedy with how they restructured their debt because of this fucking bullshit. This created the debt crisis that created the conditions for continued poverty across the island. So to be clear, America continues to point the finger at Puerto Rico to talk shit about the poverty there, but they fucking created it. And that shit continued from 1984 to 2016, when the U.S. passed another law called Promesa. And it's even more insidious when you find out that the word promesa in Spanish means promise, which sounds positive until you realize what the fuck it is. See, the Promesa law created a 7-member unelected board that is appointed directly by the President of the United States. The people of Puerto Rico have no say and no vote on who serves on the board. And the board is responsible for managing Puerto Rico's finances and is not accountable to the island government. But it does have control over Puerto Rico's budget, laws, financial plans, and regulations. Which means that even when Puerto Ricans have their elected officials make budgets, laws, financial plans, or regulation, this unelected board can veto it and disregard it entirely. That board, called the Financial Oversight Management Board, is directly responsible for shit like what happened in a city in Puerto Rico called Bayamón. In August of 2025, there was a failure of 2 10 million gallons per day pumps at a water station. And although the agency declared the project an emergency, the Financial Oversight Management Board did not approve funding until November of 2025, delaying repairs until at least July of this year, 2026. So to recap, there were parts of Puerto Rico that hadn't had reliable water for over a year because an unelected 7-member board didn't act fast enough. And on top of all of that, once shit is even approved all late, there's still a law on the books that was passed by the U.S. in 1920 called the Merchant Marine Act. It legally requires goods moving between the U.S. and Puerto Rico to travel on U.S. flagged, U.S. built, US owned and US crewed ships. And all of those restrictions makes the cost of living, cost of goods, and most importantly, the cost of construction supplies to rebuild the water infrastructure significantly more expensive. All in all, in order for Puerto Rico to finally resolve all of its issues, it needs to be fucking free. Because enough is fucking enough.